NoSo Connection Podcast Network viewers, welcome to another edition of NoSo Tier Lists. Ryan, JT. Yeah, WrestleMania is done, but we're still going to touch a little bit on WrestleMania because why not? It's still April. It's WrestleMania month, basically, WrestleMania weeks. We've done a lot of these. We've done some big time stars. We've done some match types. And we had a suggestion from one of our viewers. And I tried to find the comment, and I apologize. I could not find it to who made the suggestion, but thank you to do a Chris Jericho WrestleMania match tier list. And we're nothing but amiable to our fans. So we thought we'd dive in, Ryan.
Let's go.
You ready? Just want to
Jericho.
get right into it.
Let's get it,
All right,
buddy.
let's do it. So we're going to go through all of Chris Jericho's WrestleMania matches. While we're doing that, I just want to ask you, while we're pulling it up here, if you could take a moment and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet or aren't subscribed already. You could just hit the button right below us, and we'd really appreciate the love and support. And of course, share us around. Why not? And leave a comment. Is this list a mess after we're done with it? What would you do instead? And if you leave us a comment with some suggestions, we may do that as well, just like this one. So, all right, Ryan.
JT,
Yeah.
JT, before we start, do you have any S tier vibes here? Do you think we're going to end up with any S before we jump into it?
That's the thing, right? So I know, like on some of these, we've kind of stuck to like let's try and balance them. Are you a fan of that? Or you just want to go where they fit?
Go where they're fit, and then we'll kind of feel it out at the end.
Okay.
But
All right. Let's
I'm
see.
not sure if we're going to get any S stuff, unless if we kind of force it, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there's one potential.
Yeah, there's one. You're right.
Well,
But
there's one definite. There is one definite.
you know what? Here's my sentiment of this whole case.
Yeah.
You don't really think of Chris Jericho when you get to that match.
Maybe we'll see. The thing is, Jericho's best stuff definitely seems to occur on WrestleMania platform. This great
Yep.
feud with Rey Mysterio, some of the better stuff with Punk, the Shawn Michaels feud all happened off WrestleMania. Stuff with Christian, I guess, that's up there. We got the one WrestleMania match, but the better stuff kind of happens after. So it's like a lot of his best work usually was honestly post Mania, like his hot run, even the Rock feud, right? That was like year end into the new year. So a lot of his best stuff hasn't occurred at a Mania, but let's go ahead and
Sounds
dig in.
typical for a B tier guy.
Yeah. All right. So his first one would have been WrestleMania 2000. That's
Yep.
the triple threat with Benoit and Angle. I think it's one of those ones. It reminds me a lot of Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect from SummerSlam '93, where the anticipation and hype was so high. It was
Yeah.
struggling to live up to those expectations, but then people associate that with being bad. Whereas
Yeah.
I don't think either of those matches are bad. I think it's still a very good match. It's just not what you would expect in 2000 with those three guys. I think the stip kind of hindered it by having
Yeah.
the two falls for the different belts, Angle with the
Yeah.
belts, not getting pinned. Like there was a lot of focus on that. The stuff with Backlund was involved. Like so, it was just a lot of weird
Hurt
vibes
the
going in.
pacing, which hurt the potential.
Yeah,
And plus, it's a weird WrestleMania overall. Everything had to be a gimmick, and nothing could be straightforward. And these are kind of three straightforward type of wrestlers at this time for sure. But
right.
I would start this in the
B.
B and C.
Yeah, I'm with a B.
Start it in the B and let's see.
Right. Let's go from there. All right, WrestleMania 17. He fights William Regal in the opener for the IC title. I like this match. It's feisty. It starts to show off pretty well. Right away you get Regal's bright red chest, of course, which always pops. It's just like and Jericho just wins, retains his belt. So I think it's just like a quality opener. It's
Yeah,
probably on the same tier, probably B, but I
yeah,
could sniff
same
an A.
tier. The crowd helps it being
Yeah,
being first on the show helps it for sure. And Jericho's pretty over here, and Regal's pretty despicable. So
okay.
it's good stuff. And of course, it's very memorable pissing in the tea to get us here.
Yes, naturally. All right, let's go with a B for now. But again, like you could argue, were some of their best stuff later too. Like they have the Duchess of Queensberry match, which is pretty
Yeah.
funny, and that's when the pissing happens, isn't it? Or is it before Mania? I forget. But
I think I remember seeing it in the video package. I think it
yeah,
was like to go home or a week or two before.
okay. All right, WrestleMania 18 is obviously one of his bigger ones. It's against Triple H for the undisputed title. He was coming off like his first mega push in
Yeah.
'01, where he has a big feud with The Rock. He ends up as champion, beats Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. And then he basically becomes fodder for the Triple H Stephanie divorce angle, where him and Stephanie partner up after hating each other from all of '01, despising each other, and now suddenly he's working for her. It feels like he's kind of her bitch boy. He's carrying the makeup and the dog, runs over the dog, and then as is a common theme with Triple H, and we've talked about this on other podcasts elsewhere covering some of this stuff. instead of a blood feud where he's coming out looking to destroy this guy because he's with his ex-wife, he killed the dog.
The dog.
Um,
Yep.
they're wrestling a match. That said, I don't mind the structure in theory outside of the storyline because it's really focused on Jericho working over Triple H's, repaired quad. So like the psychology is fine. It's just more of a victim of circumstance of following Hogan and Rock. So they didn't do them any favors by putting them there.
Yeah, like the year before, the crowd helped the Regal match, and
Mhm.
then the year after, in the main event, the fatigued crowd from Hulk and everything else really hampered it here. Hampered it upside. I still had it at 3 stars. Like
It's fine.
it was
Yeah.
a good fine match.
And I
But
don't
for that
in
main event, it was kinda
right. In
disappointing.
retrospect, you say like, oh well, it shouldn't have main evented, but like Triple H got a massive pop at MSG when he came back. It's a big pop for winning the Rumble, and people would have been begging. Like if you would have said in December or
Mhm.
November, we're gonna main event Hogan over Jericho, people would have revolted. Like everyone hated Hogan still at that point because he had done the same shit in WCW. He'd held everyone down. He was still, in the big matches and the main events. And now you're saying at the expense of Chris Jericho, you want to main event Hulk Hogan. Like I know circumstance shifted it, but I don't think anybody really going into Hogan Rock anticipated what it was going to be. So I find it hard to really blame that one like on the booking.
And at the time, you had WrestleMania 8, you had
Hmm.
WrestleMania 11, were the only 2 that didn't really have a title match in the main event. In
Yeah.
WrestleMania 1, but that doesn't count, the
Right.
title wasn't defended.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't really a precedent of non-title matches main eventing WrestleMania at this time, especially leading in. It had been almost 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So,
Right. Yeah.
I get why it went there, but in hindsight, of course,
Yeah,
that
I'll look it back. You say, well, yeah, it probably would have helped everything if that's the main event, and this gets to be earlier in the night. Maybe the crowd's a little bit more
yeah.
with it.
It's just that Monday morning quarterbacking right there.
Yep. All right. So that all said, I think this probably goes C just because the expectations. I don't know if it's a C match, but the storyline stunk. Stephanie looked good in the teal. She takes the big bump at the end, but the build is shaky, and then it is
I know.
closing a mania, and it's kind of pedantic. So.
We'll see for now. Like, I still think it's a better match than the IC opener, but circumstances and everything we just went over for now, sure.
All right, based on Jericho's workload, I think our next one has potential to be an S. I could see the argument for an A. That's Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 19. Obviously, doesn't come near their feud, almost a decade later, but it's still like a really great match. It's kind of Shawn's like big return match to
Mhm.
WrestleMania. The SummerSlam match with Triple H was great, but that felt like a spectacle one-off, maybe.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, he's still Mr. WrestleMania. He's still back, and it felt like a really um, like a dream match in many ways. Like Jericho, the storyline's really good where Jericho saying, he wants to do everything Shawn had done. He's the new Shawn and he's going to put Shawn down. This was all just chronicled on Ruthlessly Aggressive podcast that
Mhm.
drops every other Tuesday, audio only on North South Connection. Go to northsouthconnection.com for info there. They're covering the whole Ruthless Aggressive era that's marching into the post-Mania season now in 2003, but they covered, Jake and Guest covered all of the build on there up until WrestleMania, and they talk about this feud in great detail. So I could see an A. It's probably not an S match, but on the Jericho pantheon of Mania matches, it may be an S.
You stole the words out of my mouth. This if we're gonna give Jericho match 1 off the bat, it may be this one, perhaps.
Right. All right, let's put it there for now.
Yeah. We can shake
Okay.
and move when we get back there. I had it at 4.5. I looked before I got there. So,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have
I
it
mean,
as an
that's
above great match, but
right.
it's probably and
All
plus
right.
it is the greatest WrestleMania of all time, not?
It is number one. All right. Chris Jericho versus Christian WrestleMania 20, but maybe one of the more infamous ones. Had the
Yeah.
Trish Stratus heel turn, a very good feud leading up to this. That, if you remember, the talk was, oh, they're booking it themselves and everything. So they drew this, they let them kind of handle the creative side of it and had this long drawn out story with Lita and Trish all through the winter. Explodes to them fighting here. Trish turns on Jericho. Really makes him even more over, gets Christian over big time as a heel as part of it. I think this is A.
Yeah, I agree. That's
It's a really good match too. Like even beyond all the other stuff, like the match itself is good.
Yep, it's solid. It benefited being semi early too.
Yeah, I'd say it's like a 4-star all in.
Mhm.
Feels like probably Christian. It might have been Christian's best match to that point too, like non
Yeah, how many
TLC
chances
stuff.
had he really had,
Yeah,
honestly?
yeah, it's probably his best singles match to that point. All
That's
right,
what I
WrestleMania
yeah.
21. Now, this is the one I had in mind for the S tier, obviously.
Mm,
It is the very first Money in the Bank. And I know you mentioned that you didn't, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, that you don't associate with him. But this one I actually do, because this is the one where he came up with the idea. And that's all they centered it on. Is that he went to Bischoff, said, let's do this match. It was built around his creative idea. He is a focal piece of it. Edge wins the match, but he helps drive the match throughout it. To me, it's still arguably maybe the best Money in the Bank there is 5 stars. So I'm comfortable with this being an S tier, especially giving Jericho's role in creating the match.
yeah, I was for the record, I was talking about HBK. It was his return match to WrestleMania, and of course, when Jericho hits that level, he's always the second guy. Is what my
Right.
sentiment there.
Yeah,
So I
yeah, I
agree. This
gotcha.
is the, to add the historical factor too. We should throw this in the S, and we can discuss later. But I think it should stay there.
Okay. All right. Next up, I guess we would go to
24 million in the bank.
24, right? And that's the Money in the
Yep.
Bank again. Again, it's a great Money in the Bank. Covered it recently in Place to Be podcast, and I think it's not one of the best. Like, I think it's probably that second tier down.
Mhm.
This is one where Jericho's not as much of a focal point. He's honestly kind of just jammed in there. His big push starts almost like the night after this with
Yeah.
with Sean.
He's Intercontinental Champion too at the time.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, probably A, I guess, because it's still Money in
No,
the
it's
Bank.
A. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's A. It's a pretty, like you said, it's a pretty good the Money in the Bank main event, but
Not the best.
not the best.
All right. This is an interesting one. So, this is WrestleMania 25 against Piper, Snuka, and Steamboat. I like this a lot. Again, just having
Fun.
rewatched it for PTB, I think they do a really good job, especially considering what he's going to work with in there. Like, it's a real workman's effort. It's like almost a classic Ric Flair broomstick match where he's just bumping and going crazy trying to get
Yeah.
these old legends, like a moment in the sun. It's really well structured. The build was good. You got the Mickey Rourke stuff as part of it. You got Flair in there, and Steamboat was awesome, and it sets up the singles match the next month. Um, I'd flirt an
It's
A, but
more
probably a
memorable
B.
than good. It's more
Yeah,
memorable than good, but that is
that's what it was going to be. It was never going to be good.
it was
But
never going to be good.
yeah,
Look what we got going on in here. You got
yeah.
Superfly jumping around in trunks still.
All right.
So
A B, I guess.
yeah, we can throw it. I think that B's going to get clogged, but yeah, I that's fine for now. I'm good with that.
All right. All right. WrestleMania 26. That would be what, him and
Edge.
Edge, and that's the payoff to them being tag champions. Edge got hurt.
Yep.
Jericho shit talked to him, basically called him brittle and all this other stuff. Edge wins the Rumble, comes back, and he doesn't. Does he win the title at 26?
No, Jericho wins and then
Jericho
loses it to
retains, right?
Swagger on the SmackDown.
Yeah.
This
I
is
like
kind
this
of the
match. Yeah.
it's a very good match. It should be an A tier. This is kind of it's under the radar. It's forgettable. We'll
Mhm.
look at the two guys, but anyways, it's good for sure. It's great in moments. It's just kind of
Yeah.
kind of similar to the 28 match. You know what I mean? It's jammed in a weird spot, but it delivers for what it is. And that's kind of the end of Jericho's 08 to 2010 run where he was,
Mhm.
the Nick Bockwinkel type of character in a way
Yeah.
too. That's kind of the end of that. So
Yeah. So then he leaves, comes back at the beginning of 11.
he kind of
Right.
jumps into Jericho and then goes away for a little while.
Well, no, actually, because he's still. When does he come? Oh, yeah, he leaves. He was
Yeah.
gone in 2011, and then he comes back for the 2012 Rumble. That's when he does the silent stuff, where he's
Yeah.
not talking.
Yeah. Him and Jericho him and Big Show win the tag belts. And then
Yep.
at the tail end of that, he loses the DX and then he comes back, I think at the 12 or
It's the
towards
12.
the tail end of 11. And he's around for the 12 Royal Rumble that we all thought he was going to win.
Yeah, and that's my fantasy booking at the time was he should come out and not do anything. Like as he's entering, the last two guys eliminate each other, and he just gets in the ring and wins without touching anyone.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been awesome given the character they were going, but they kind of dropped the not talking thing.
Yeah.
And then
This is where he just came out and did nothing.
Yeah. Then he ends up in the feud with Punk. And that leads to WrestleMania 28 title match. It's the whole thing with bringing up Punk's dad being a drunk and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And their match the next month. This match is really good too, but I like the one the next month, the street fight or whatever, which is great. But this is probably an A too, I think.
I think it's the same sentiment as Edge, but probably a better overall match.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
All right. So that goes to WrestleMania 29. It's his match with Fandango. I'm gonna just put it in D.
That's sad.
Fandango was over, but the match just made no sense.
I
Like
have, yeah.
it seemed like a real waste of Jericho. I guess they were pushing Fandango, but like I remember even when they announced it, it was like this is what we're using Jericho for on this.
It was supposed to be Ryback, remember?
Yes,
Oh,
yep.
so we thought, anyways.
So it felt like a waste, and Fandango wins, which I good on Jericho to put him over, but it was a far bomb forgotten match, and Fandango gets the concussion and pretty much done after that anyway,
Yeah.
as a threat. So
But hey, Jericho got him over to do some of this the next night. You know,
he did. He did. All right, WrestleMania 32 is his next one. So that's 29. He goes away again. When's he come back again? Now is it the end of 15, right? Because he does the stuff with the Shield or whatever.
yeah, he's in and out. He does the Wyatt stuff. He does the
Yeah.
Shield stuff. I think he pops in and he's a part of a 6-man or something.
Well, yeah.
But
Then he kind of heals out at SummerSlam where he doesn't help. I think not SummerSlam. There's some match we covered on Dirty War. That's airs every other Thursday here on North South Connection. It's video and audio. Marcus and I going through every Dirty pay-per-view in history. We do it in a season format. So we covered the 15-16 season. And I know it's in there where he like doesn't help. I forget who he's teaming with. He doesn't help them and he walks away. And then he
Ambrose,
kind of
perhaps.
starts to turn heel. Yeah, it might have been Ambrose and Reigns. And he starts to turn heel a little bit. And then he does the stuff with AJ Styles where he's the benchmark. Jericho brings up a little bit like when I showed up, I had to do this shit, right? I had to prove I was a WWE guy. It could work a WWE style, and I had to beat the stalwarts. Now you're going to do that. So they have they're teaming as wide to AJ, and then they fight here, and Jericho wins, which pissed off a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That AJ jobbed at his first Mania, and I'll tell you the match. Watching it for War, it was not that great. It was disappointing.
If we're doing disappointments, I think it's the same tier as the C,
Yeah.
where we called that main event disappointing. But it could be a better match than the Regal match, but overall, it's probably it's disappointing.
Yeah,
It was
like
in a
it's
good
still pretty
spot to
good.
do something good too.
Yeah, I think we may shake up this B a little bit. I think I'm leaning toward moving 2000 down. If I think C is like the disappointing level.
Yeah.
So like these are the three that should have been good, but were disappointing, and B is kind of maybe a little overperforming a little bit.
Yeah, it's like in a vacuum, C's
Yeah.
probably the C tiers are probably better matches, but to add in the disappointment and add
Right.
in
Bad booking, bad structure,
yeah.
just kind of all of it. All right, so then that brings us to our final one. His final run in WWE was part of the, him and Kevin Owens, Jericho. They were great as a team. The list of Jericho and all that. They had the Festival of Friendship. Owens turns on him, beats the shit out of him, and they have a very good Mania match. I think I would put this in the B, replacing that WrestleMania 2000. I like this quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's frowned upon, especially between the both of them. You have the infamous Vince McMahon. I'm disappointed in this match right away. So they say, I don't know if that was played up because the network show or whatever, but yeah, this is kind of the downfall of Jericho in the WWE too. He was supposed to be the quote unquote main event with Kevin Owens, or at least the title match, and then they get the mid card title. So probably put a sour taste in both their mouths. And then day of, they realize that they're two, and then they go out there and they deliver with really no crowd heat.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a good. I'm due for a rewatch at 33. That was one we were both at. I don't think I've sat and watched it in a while. I guess we'll get there with War. Maybe I'll save it for then. But I'm definitely due for a 33 rewatch.
You got to
I'm
leave
fuzzy on some of that.
you got to leave it for a day that you're completely empty, because that seems
Yeah,
5 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, 32 to 35 of that marathon, one sitting shows. So, all right. So I think we should balance a little bit. I think leaving Fandango as the only D is fine. But do you want to move anything to S, or do you want to just leave it?
Let's do it this way. Let's go from D and then move up, and then we'll kind of level our tiers as if all the way to the left being the strongest, and then we'll kind of feel if we need to move anything out.
All right, Fandango with D, I think we're fine with.
Yep. So C tier, what do you think? Do you think that the triple threat warrants all the way to the left or all the way to the end, or do you
I think I would do this. I think I would put AJ last.
Okay.
I think I would leave Triple H Jericho at the top. I still think it's a very good match. I think Jericho works his ass off in it. I like the focus on the quad. I think it's pretty good. This is not their fault as much as where they're shoehorned in, and the booking was so crappy leading up to it. I just think that triple threat is it's fine. Again, we covered that on War 2. I think I was at 3.5-ish. It's okay. I mean,
like you said, this tier is more disappointment than not.
right. Right. And I would say AJ Jericho is the most, if you want to look at most disappointing to least, like I think Jericho AJ is the most disappointing given the guy. Well,
Especially
actually, you could argue this is the most disappointing, but given
yeah.
the talent. But Angle wasn't quite there yet. I mean, he'd only been around 3 months. So
Yeah, but if you look at what AJ would go on to do the rest of
yeah,
2026.
starting the next night. Like, I think he did some good stuff the next night. And
Yeah,
then
he beat
Backlash has a great
Cesaro and
match.
2 others in the number 1 contendership, has those 2 awesome matches with Reigns,
Yeah.
and he has that killer Cena run,
Yeah.
mixed in with great stuff on TV throughout that. So he is, he's in
His
2006.
16 is awesome. Yeah. It's like
His
one of his
16
best
is
years.
awesome,
Yeah.
and it starts with Jericho and at WrestleMania, and it's a disappointing match.
Yeah.
That's why it kind of deserves to be so low here.
Okay. All right. I like this lineup here. For the B tier, I think I would do Owens. I don't know, what do you think? Owens is the best of the bunch, then the 25,
Yeah,
and then the Regal.
I think the IC 17 match is probably the worst match up there,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just like a taste thing. So put it at the bottom. The middle match here, the 25 3-on-1 match, it's fun, but it's more memorable and fun
Right.
than
Well,
necessarily
to me, it's
good.
a great Jericho performance. Like,
Yeah,
he's
we're
awesome in the
ratings,
match.
yes.
It's like he's so good in that match. Like, just walking those old guys through that, selling, bumping
He makes
around. Makes
chicken
Steamboat
salad out
look
of chicken
great.
shit for
Takes the
sure.
punch from Rourke. Like, it's so good. He's just in his bag at that point.
And we're tearing his matches, so that's why
Right.
it's here also.
Honestly,
I was just gonna say, do
I'd
that.
have it number 1 in this tier, I think.
Yeah, you stole my vibe right there.
All right.
Then, oof.
I think
I would
Edge is
probably
probably
go
the worst.
yeah, for the Christian one, but it
It's so,
the
so memorable with Trish.
it overhits what it should have been,
Yeah.
and like you said, it is definitely more memorable than the 26th match. The 26th match is underrated, but it's underrated, so it's up there anyways. Um,
I think I'd go then Money in the
I
Bank.
might go Punk first, just because it was such a good match, but it wasn't their
Right.
best match. In
So you think Punk, then Christian, then the Money in the Bank? The Money in the Bank is just such a
No,
small
I'd go
part of.
Money in the Bank first. Go Money in the Bank first. No,
Yeah?
no, excuse me, sorry. Money in the Bank 24. I thought it was Money in the Bank 21.
No, 24. Yeah.
I
He's
think
not
we're
as
good
big a
there.
part of it.
Yeah.
It's not the best Money in the Bank. I just think like the Trish thing and the Punk thing are such big Jericho again performances.
Yes.
Like he's great with Trish and Christian in that match, and then the Punk angle so good too, and he's like really good in that. So
Yeah, if you wanted to go 20 top tier, I don't mind. Or 20 at the top of this tier.
yeah. Well,
If your heart says that, I don't mind. But other than that, I'm good.
so we're going Money in the and the S tier. We're going Money in the Bank number 1, obviously. Then Sean.
Yeah.
Do you want to move Punk up to S?
If you have to I don't think it warrants it, but if your eyes want to balance it,
Yeah,
I'm not going to twist your arm.
it's on the borderline. I think this is like right on the line.
Yeah.
It is a really great match.
It's really, and that match swings your overall thoughts on WrestleMania 28. WrestleMania 28 could be upper tier due to this match, in your opinion. And I think WrestleMania 28 was a home run. So, yeah, fuck it. But it's the lower end of the S.
Yeah, I think it's the bottom of there, but it's still
It's
really,
4
really
1/4.
good.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to pull up my score now because we did do the season for War. I had that at a 4. So yeah, probably borderline.
Borderline.
All right. As a triple, so WrestleMania 2000, I had that triple threat at 3 1/4, which is again, I think that speaks to this. I think that's good right there. And while we're here, let me just check AJ and Jericho quick because these are all ones we've actually done. Did a lot of Jericho apparently during these seasons. I had that at 3.5.
Well, he does have what's this 13 WrestleMania matches.
So if you're going by my grades, this would actually be at the bottom than Styles, but I think the hype for Styles was much worse, much bigger. So
especially for the fallout for Styles post this.
Yeah. So okay, hey, that was a lot of fun. All you Chris Jericho fans out there, WrestleMania fans, let us know where we screwed up. We'll leave that Punk match as an S for now. It's a borderline S, but in the Jericho pantheon, it's probably an S. So this is a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do these types of videos. Just check every day. Just subscribe, actually. You get notified, so you're good. We have quick hit, 15, 20-minute videos around there, doing all kinds of lists and games. If you have suggestions, we'll definitely consider them and take a look at them. Subscribe. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And that'll do it, Ryan. Talk to you soon.
Later.